Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack and today we have got the review of Monday Night Raw. A Monday Night Raw which has got a lot to offer us, if you will, and we'll go into that as we get on with the review. We kicked off Raw with SmackDown. No, we didn't kick off Raw with SmackDown at all, did we? We kicked off Raw with Triple H, that's what I was meant to say. He comes out and he says that everything in the past 24 hours has been amazing. You know, Sasha Bailey, Finn Balor, Kofi Kingston, that was the other one, mentioned all those. And then he went on to say that 4 NXT talents were debuting on the main roster tonight. Now, I don't know if they're fully coming up. I assume not. But they're making their debut anyway, just for one night only for now, until after WrestleMania maybe. I'm not too sure. But we'll have to get into that when we do. Those 4 were Aleister Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. We'll get onto those 4 in a little bit. Triple H also coming out and announcing that obviously the reports earlier that were true from ESPN and later formally announced by WWE that D-Generation X were going into the Hall of Fame. Triple H, X-Pac, HBK, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and China all going into the Hall of Fame as a group. So that would be good to see. Good to see. But then he announced that there was going to be a tables match. There was a load of tables set up, and he announced there was going to be a tables match, a rematch from Elimination Chamber between Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman. This match was okay. It was alright. It's a rematch of Elimination Chamber, and it's what we all expected would happen after Baron Corbin winning on Sunday. Braun Strowman got his revenge on Baron Corbin by putting him through a table with the power slam. Table was like leant up against the turnbuckle. It was a good match. Braun was selling the ribs quite a lot, but you know, it's just standard 50-50 booking. But they did announce one match for later on in the night. I told you we'll get onto those 4. We're going to see DIY, Ciampa and Gargano versus The Revival. That's going to come up later on. As Braun was going to go to the back, Paul Heyman came out with a microphone in hand and, you know, said to Braun, you know, good match, mate, you can go now. And Braun grabs him by the throat, shits Paul Heyman up, and Paul Heyman pleads with him to let him go, before Braun does let him go. And he goes to the back and Paul's all shaken up. He can't speak properly. And he says, give me a minute. And they go to an ad break. I wonder what he's going to say. We return from the ad break and Paul Heyman is in the ring this time, not on the ramp. And says that, you know, he understands why Braun's actions. It's because he's jealous of his client, Brock Lesnar. And that, you know, he's just unsurprised and he expected it as such. We then go into a video package about Brock Lesnar's childhood being raised in a field, in a farm in Detroit somewhere, I think it was. And I might have got that wrong, I don't know, it's just a pure guess, I'm tired, alright. And talking about his amateur wrestling and then him not wanting to come to WWE wanting Brock Lesnar to come to there. And then, you know, he had new competition and he ran through that competition, eventually ending up with beating The Rock to become the then youngest undisputed champion in WWE, or heavyweight champion in WWE. And then it goes through saying that, you know, Brock Lesnar eventually left WWE because he had gone through every opponent possible and trounced every opponent. So he went over to UFC and slaughtered everyone there, which I don't think is quite true. But he slaughtered everyone there, became undisputed champion before he came back because he saw a new field full of opponents to conquer. And that's what he did. He conquered the streak. And, you know, the crowd were booing and everything. And the crowd were quite... Not everyone was getting involved in the chants, which, you know, some crowds just want to sit there and chill and watch some wrestling. So you can't really blame them. Paul Heyman then asked the crowd whether they actually think that Seth Rollins is going to win at WrestleMania. The crowds cheer and in return do burn it down chants. And before Paul Heyman could speak again, out comes the new Intercontinental Champion, Finn Bálor, to interrupt him. When we came back from the ad break after Finn Bálor came out, Paul Heyman had left the ring and Finn Bálor was saying that, you know, he hasn't held gold in WWE for a very long time, and that he likes it. He likes the taste of gold around his waist, and that he's watched legends such as Razor Ramon, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels hold this title, and he's always wanted since he was a kid to hold the IC belt. But he was quickly interrupted by Lio Rush, the man who he pinned at Elimination Chamber, and Lio Rush just says that, look, you don't deserve the title, Finn. Bobby Lashley deserves that title. Before Bobby Lashley attacks Finn Bálor from behind, Lio Rush comes to the ring, hits the frog splash even onto Finn Bálor, and then music hits, and who's out to save Finn Bálor from the attack is none other than the one and only Ricochet, who comes in, fends off Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. We then come back from the ad break, and of course it's a tag team match between Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley against Finn Bálor and Ricochet, and it was kind of just like Ricochet's greatest hits, if you will. Ricochet was put over very, very strongly by both Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush throughout the match, and it did end up with Ricochet hitting the 630 onto Lio Rush and picking up the victory for the faces. And then afterwards, they shook hands, Finn Bálor and Ricochet, and it looked like Finn was kind of like, you know, when I'm ready, me and you for the title, yeah? And if so, that'd be a fantastic match. Can't wait for that even. Next up, we had a match between the Lucha House Party and Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. It wasn't a very long match. It was an okay, quite fast-paced match between the two teams, but it did end up with Lince Dorado pinning Curt Hawkins, so his losing streak continues. And then after the match, we had an interview on the ramp with Heavy Machinery, with Otis and Tucker now. And they were saying that, you know, we've got each other's back, we're ready to face anyone in this tag division. And then Lacey Evans' music hits, and if you didn't watch Elimination Chamber, she just strolled down to the ring and then strolled back up and didn't say anything. Literally strolled to the ring, strolled back up, and she did the exact same at this time. But this time Heavy Machinery joined in and did their own little catwalk, it seemed, and coming back with the Bushwhackers arm stick thing. It was so weird, and then the camera's just cut off. I don't get what they're doing. This is so weird, but whatever, I guess. Next up, we had the match that we were all been waiting for. DIY, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa versus The Revival. And the crowds, DIY came out and the crowd just didn't make any noise. They just had no clue what was going on by the sounds of it. It was so annoying, and I hope Vince doesn't look at that and be like, well, these are nobodies. Like, no, like, these two are the best in your company probably at the moment, and just because the crowds don't seem to want to make any noise doesn't mean that, you know, they're not any good. It's just annoying, man. They could have waited for a town or a state or whatever to, you know, that watches NXT, like a more smarky crowd, if you will. But I don't even know where they're even holding this Raw, but it was just unfortunate that the crowd were as dead as they were. But let's get into the match, shall we? This match, obviously, not being as good as their 2 out of 3 falls match or any other match they had on NXT, but it's still a very decent showing from both teams. And the Revival making sure they made Gargano and Ciampa looking strong, and vice versa in all effects. Gargano and Ciampa making the tag team champions look strong as well. But it came down to DIY, the Old Faithful, super kick and knee to, I think, Scott Dawson. I think. I just watched the show. I think Scott Dawson and Ciampa picking up the pinfall against the Revival. So NXT 2 for 2 on the night. Fantastic showing. Fair play to the lads. Go watch this match. Go watch all the DIY vs Revival matches. They're all classics. And this match was good as well. Following up from that, we had a little promo from the new Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley. And, instantly the crowd start cheering, "You deserve it," and whatnot. You probably do, yeah, they probably do deserve it. And, they obviously said that the past 24 hours has been emotional since Elimination Chamber and whatnot, and that it's no longer a dream, it's a reality, and, classical babyface stuff, and saying they wouldn't do it with anyone else, and how they've come from NXT, hated each other, and now they can't get enough of each other and whatnot, and all that, and yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. Classic babyface tag team stuff, all lovey-dovey. They say that they're here changing the world, and they plan to hold the women's tag team titles for a very, very long time. But out comes maybe their first challengers for the titles, Nia Jax and Tamina. They get on the mic and say that, it's with Sasha, it's always been, Sasha Banks has always looked out for Sasha Banks and no one else. And that everyone knows that when Sasha Banks wins a title, on her first defence, she always loses it. And they then give Tamina the microphone, like, bloody hell, Tamina, Jesus Christ. I can't even remember what she said, because I was too busy, they've given Tamina the microphone. Something about, you might have got lucky at Elimination Chamber, but your luck runs out tonight, or something like that. And then they had a 30-second scrap when Nia and Tamina were trying to get into the ring, but Sasha and Bayley were fending them off before Nia and Tamina just walked off. Yeah, simple as that. We then had another video package for DX, a nice little montage of what they've done and whatnot. And good. Up next, we're going to have Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre after earlier in the night. Drew McIntyre went up to Trips and said, "Look, I want Seth Rollins. I want to show you that I deserve that main event slot at WrestleMania." And Dean Ambrose just comes out of nowhere and goes, "I'm here. Don't you want a bit of me?" And before Drew could even say a word back, Dean just slapped him. And Trips said, "Do you still want Seth, or do you want Dean?" And Drew just goes, "Change the bloody match." So up next, Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre. That match didn't last very long. Drew McIntyre picking up the victory over Dean Ambrose with not one but two Claymore kicks to pick up the W. And then after that, we had a bit more of this Brock Lesnar montage where they were looking at Brock's current run in the WWE, talking about how he's run through John Cena, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and then eventually ending with Seth freaking Rollins at WrestleMania. It then cuts to an interview with Charlie Caruso and Seth, where Seth says that he's going to end Brock Lesnar's reign of terror over the Universal Championship, and he promises that at WrestleMania he will walk out as the new Universal Champion. Dean Ambrose then comes up behind him and Seth goes, can I help you? And Dean goes, "Yeah, where were you out there, man?" And Seth just looks at him and, "Are you completely out of your mind, Dean?" Dean just looks at him confusingly and goes, "Yeah," kind of accepting it before walking off. Yeah, good interaction. I kind of feel like something to do with the Shield's going to happen at Mania. I kind of feel like that's the gist of it, because when Dean Ambrose came out, he's lost the sirens in his theme, so is he face, is he heel? I don't think he's anything at the moment, to be fair. But if he is leaving, maybe his last kind of gift to the WWE Universe is a Shield semi-reunion, depending on how Roman's doing, obviously. Elias then comes out and says that, he's fed up with the way he's being treated, and that he's the most talented person that has come through the WWE in quite a while. And, he's going to dedicate his song to himself, none other than himself. And he hopes that it will make him go into a deep silence and maybe take him unconscious so he didn't have to remember the folks in the crowd, the cretins in the crowd. But before he could start his song, he's cut off by none other than Aleister Black. And Aleister Black says that, if a deep sleep is what you want and silence, then he'll help you with that as he will fade him to black. And there is a match that we get between Aleister Black and Elias. Decent showing from both Aleister Black and Elias. Once again, the crowds didn't understand what was going on because it's an NXT guy and clearly none of them watch NXT. But Black hit a black mass out of absolutely nowhere to pin Elias for the win. And it was a decent enough match. Each NXT match was a good showing of what they can do. And it was interesting to see Aleister Black get the singles match slot. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Next up, Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott for the main event for the Raw Women's Championship. The Ruby Riott Ronda Rousey match was a very good match, actually. After the squash match from Elimination Chamber, they went a good, I think it was like 10-15 minutes maybe. Ruby Riott bounced back quite well from the squash match, and she, got a fair share of offense in. I would say it was evens in terms of who dominated the match and whatnot. But, to say the least, there were some good near falls. But once again, Ronda Rousey making Ruby Riott tap out to the armbar. After the match, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan tried to jump in the ring and try and take out Ronda, but to no avail as Ronda takes them out easily. And the show ends with Ronda holding up her Raw Women's Championship, and that was Monday Night Raw. A good Monday Night Raw, I would say. I wasn't bored, and I wasn't bored at all, I'd say. I think I'd rate it 3.5 stars. Go on then, 3.5 stars. I'll rate it. Like I said, it was good to see all the NXT call-ups. The crowd was diabolical all throughout the night, but you're going to get some of those crowds sometimes. But that was Monday Night Raw, like I said. If you did like that, please leave a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new around here, or you haven't done so already. And I'll see you again tomorrow for SmackDown Live. Thank you very much for watching.